Welcome to Chamber Chats, a weekly series by the West Monroe West Washita Chamber of Commerce highlighting our valued members. As always, find out more about the Chamber and our members online at westmonroechamber.org. And now, this week's episode of West Monroe West Washita Chamber Chats.
Hey everyone, this is Chris Kelly with the West Monroe West Washita Chamber for another episode of Chamber Chats, and we're at Louisiana Delta Community College recording this series. Today, our special guest is Holly with Chennault Aviation Museum.
Right, Chennault Aviation and Military
Museum.
Yeah.
So first off, we have to ask, tell us about the museum.
So the museum is a hidden gem. It is an amazing place that we celebrate every day, every veteran that's ever lifted their hand, no matter what came from that lifting of the hand. They really made a sacrifice that they didn't even know how much it would mean to them or to the others around them. And we just celebrate that every day. So,
and you celebrate that by both telling the story and showing us many times the untold story, but literally letting us see historical artifacts, firsthand video, everything.
Right. We have 11,000 artifacts. We have 10,000 square feet. And if we had $1 for every person that walked in and said, wow, I had no idea how much was here, we'd be doing pretty good.
You'd have a new building.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
So you said hidden, and I think one of the things that's truly hidden is that y'all don't just tell the story of veterans, you serve veterans as well.
We do. A lot of people don't realize that we have PTSD meetings every 2 weeks. Which is where my heart is. My husband is 100% disabled military through his numerous operations and PTSD, and we serve these guys. They're allowed to come in. They're allowed to sit with like-minded individuals who've also experienced that, and they walk out with a new okay today, you know. And we have 22 veterans a day that commit suicide. And so we definitely want to be that buffer between that person and those thoughts to try to help that. We have a van service that will pick you up from anywhere from here to Jackson, Mississippi to take you to the VA hospital for appointments. We have a disabled American veterans team that does nothing but make sure that the veterans get the services that they need from the VA. So we have a lot of services that we offer in those regards.
And you're also making sure that those stories of those veterans are preserved.
Absolutely.
So for the future, and that's how we overlap. Tell me, in that there's a lot of probably critical elements that it's heartbreaking because war is truly catastrophic.
Horrible, yeah.
But how do you maintain your sense of joy, positivity in the work that y'all do in telling that story?
So I think the thing to remember is the warrior doesn't make the war, right?
Beautiful sentence, yeah.
So the politicians, the leaders, the situations make that man or woman into a warrior. It's not necessarily something that they chose. And so by allowing them to continue to tell their story and for people to understand that it's not that person's choice or personal beliefs that led them to that place, but the oath to protect and preserve the freedom of the United States of America and every person that lives around them every day, we tell that story. You won't see that many ranks on people's information at the museum, but you'll see about that person. And you'll understand that every moment that they took was to help somebody else in their way. My husband, before he went to Iraq, you kind of have to prepare and you have to be ready to understand that they may not come back. And we knew when 9/11 hit that was an option, and he said, I'll go and I'll protect the rights of my wife and my children and my family to make sure that the freedoms are protected. And that's how all these guys wake up every day. And we don't appreciate them enough.
So what do you think, number one misconception is about the museum as an entity?
I think a lot of people look at the building, which is our largest and oldest artifact. It was part of the navigation school that was here, the only remaining in place building of that navigation school that trained more than 30% of the World War II navigators in World War II.
So let's pause.
Yeah.
The airport that we have now was Selman Field.
That's right.
So tell that story just real quick.
So Selman Field was a navigation school. It housed hundreds of buildings in the 1940s that if you wanted to become a navigator and you needed one place to go to get that training, Selman Field was the only place that you could go.
Training
Absolutely.
program.
So we are the only remaining building of that in its original placement.
Right.
And that's actually the reason we can lead into the other part of this conversation is that they built those runways at the airport so big and so large to teach that, that allows us to have other cool things in this town.
Like, tell that's the perfect segue. You're making me crack up.
So, we have the air show and we can land these huge, amazing planes on that runway because of how spectacularly they built it.
Last year was amazing. It was hot as blazes,
but
truly impressive by the diversity of aviation that you showed.
Right.
What's in store in 2023?
So, last year was our first air show in this area since 1977.
Before my time. Thankfully, for the first time, it's something before my time.
Also before mine. We'll live on that forever. But we just wanted to bring something amazing back to the area. And I don't know if it's a military wife thing or just an aviation person thing or what it is, but I love saluting America's heroes, which is our tagline of the air show.
Yeah.
And what a better way to do it than by looking at cool planes that do crazy stuff all the time. And Aeroshell, for instance, is one of the members is from here. They're in the Hall of Fame. And they're flying World War II planes.
And really showing you technologically why those things push the limit of what I think is reality.
Absolutely.
From flying so slow that I don't know why they don't fall out of the air to doing things that are upside down. I mean, it's incredible what people at the time engineered, and that's back before we had a computer. Everybody's drawing it, literally drawing. So it's fascinating. So when is this year's event?
So it is May 5th, 6th, and 7th.
So it's earlier than last time.
A little earlier than last time. We are all just going to say little prayers for no rain and no 150-degree weather, which is what it felt like last year. We have 11 performers coming back, most of which are new. Some are returning favorites. You can't have an air show in Monroe without Aeroshell and Kevin Coleman that's from Ruston. And then we have the A-10 Warthogs from the United States Air Force. We have the C-17 again, and 12 or 13 static displays for you to tour and walk through. It's probably a 3-hour-ish show again this year. But lots of variety, lots of different options. We have a guy that might cut a ribbon 18 feet off the ground upside down.
You're killing me.
With his propeller.
Oh my God. So, but you do that.
The cord?
We can talk about that after we're off the air. I'll give you my true feelings about that. But I am so impressed with what you do every day. I'm so proud of our community that we fly those flags and we mean it. I'm proud that Chennault's story is told. We haven't even mentioned that, but that's another episode. And that we're not just telling their stories, we're serving veterans in our community. That's all of that is in the little building that we drive by on their way to Sam's or to the airport and maybe don't even think about. So tell us, how do people get involved? How can they honor veterans, and how can they leave a legacy?
So for the museum, we are a free museum, and I think one of the easiest and cheapest ways to honor the men and women of the military that have served is to come to the museum and appreciate them and understand the artifacts that we have. If you know somebody that has served in the military, we do veterans oral history programs. So we record them, we record their story. It goes into the database with the Library of Congress, so ancestors down the line can go, that was my great-great-grandpa that did this. And we have volunteer opportunities. So through events that we do, through our restoration team that sits and scrubs on those airplanes to keep them outside, and just to do tours and help us around the museum. So there's plenty of ways to get involved all the time, and we're always open to having that conversation.
One of the things that is a pivotal moment in my entire life is I got invited when the part of the Vietnam Wall was coming, and y'all were the hosts. And one of the things that was mentioned was that we need people to be there in the evening time, not because it would be vandalized, but to be there and be supportive in that moment.
Right.
And several times we had Vietnam veterans that came at 2:00 in the morning to have that private reflection time,
Right.
and kind of broke down in that moment. And it was so cool to see other veterans out of the darkness come and be supportive in that moment. Right. And I'll never not remember that.
Right.
It's amazing what y'all do, telling the story every single day.
Right.
But for that person, it meant the world.
That's right.
That somebody was there.
Right.
And so I appreciate sincerely what you're doing, and I don't know that most of our community knows that.
Yeah.
And so we're proud at the Chamber to always support you. Nell is a powerhouse that is amazing.
Yeah.
We probably should devote an episode to talk about Nell.
Absolutely.
But more information online. How do people find out about the air show and everything else?
So the key to everything is ChennaultMuseum.org. You can go straight to the air show website from there. You can find out what we do all year long to honor these veterans. You can send in a donation, become a member, find out what our hours are to come in. So everything is pivotal on ChennaultMuseum.org. But if you're looking specifically for the air show, red, white, and blue airshow.com.
And we'll put that information out for you. This has been another episode of Chamber Chats. We're so proud to have Chennault Aviation History Military Museum. I got close, in our community, and as a member of the Chamber. To find out more about Chamber members like the Chennault, you can visit our website at westmonroechamber.org, or to become a member, of course, you can find out lots of information online, but call us at 325-1961, and thanks for joining us today.